I want to share a story with you, dear listeners, to unburden my heart and perhaps offer a lesson to others. My name is Michael, and I'm 50 years old, a former company man who now runs a small construction supply store in the city. My son, Daniel, 25, is married and works abroad, while my youngest daughter, Sophie, just turned 20 this year and is in college. Life was peaceful, flowing smoothly, until a little over a year ago when my daughter-in-law, Avery, brought chaos into our home. About a year ago, I arranged a marriage for Daniel. His wife, Avery, is a beautiful woman, but I could tell from the start she wasn't the virtuous type. When Daniel brought her home to meet the family, I noticed her high cheekbones, flushed red without a trace of makeup, and those arched eyebrows that hinted at her true nature. I had a bad feeling, but I kept quiet. Things started to unravel when Daniel left for a 3-year work assignment overseas. I had already stepped back from my old company job and opened my store, spending my days managing the business and indulging in hobbies like fishing, raising birds, and keeping pet dogs. In my free time, I'd go swimming at the local pool to unwind. I'll admit, I couldn't help but notice the younger women there, some around Daniel's age or a bit older, their fit bodies catching my eye. I'm 50, but I'm still in great shape, strong and fit, with no beer belly despite my love for a good drink. My wife passed away years ago, and while I'd occasionally visit certain dimly lit bars to relieve some stress, it never truly satisfied me. I craved something more, something I couldn't quite name. One afternoon, after a swim, I came home and asked for a cold beer. Avery had just returned as well, looking as flirty as ever. "Hey, Dad, you're back from your workout," she said with a sly smile. "I got my paycheck today, so I bought some stuff for us to have a little family party." "Has Sophie come home yet?" I sighed, not in the mood for her theatrics. Why go through all that trouble? Daniel's gone, so how are we supposed to enjoy a big meal? And Sophie's probably out with her friends. She hasn't come back yet. Avery shrugged. "She's got exams coming up, so let her have some fun with her friends to relax, Dad. Why don't you go shower and rest? I'll cook something, and we can eat when Sophie gets back." I nodded. "All right, I'll take a quick shower," I said, heading to the bathroom. After feeding my birds and fish, I was hit by the delicious aroma wafting from the kitchen. I walked in to see a plate of crispy squid and some fresh spring rolls on the counter. I couldn't help but smile. "Avery, you're so talented," I said. "You're good at everything, even cooking. Daniel sure got lucky with you." She laughed modestly. "Oh, it's nothing special, Dad. I just pay attention to the details. But I bet you're even better at cooking. You make such tasty dishes." I chuckled, grabbing a pair of chopsticks to taste the food. It was delicious. But as I watched Avery cook in our small kitchen, I noticed the sweat dripping down her temples, her shirt clinging to her body, soaked from the heat of the gas stove. She didn't seem to care that I was standing there, casually fanning herself with the hem of her shirt, revealing more than she should in front of her father-in-law. I tried to stay composed. "Hey, you're done here," I said. "Let me finish up." "Go take a shower, you look like you're burning up." She waved me off. "I'm fine, Dad. I can handle it. Just go relax, and I'll call you when Sophie gets back." But I insisted, "No, really, go shower. I'll take over." Reluctantly, Avery grabbed her clothes and headed to the bathroom. I finished cooking, then went to the living room to watch TV. As I passed the bathroom door, I noticed it wasn't fully closed. The sound of running water echoed, and through the crack, I caught a glimpse of Avery's silhouette, her smooth, pale skin glowing under the water. She was stunning, and I knew I shouldn't be looking, but my feet felt glued to the floor. To my shock, Avery glanced up, saw me, and instead of closing the door, she smiled and nudged it open a little wider with her foot. Just then, I heard the front gate creak. Sophie was home. I quickly sat down and turned on the TV, trying to shake off the images burning in my mind. Sophie burst in, cheerful as ever, patting my shoulder. "Hey, Dad. What's cooking? It smells amazing. Where's Avery?" "She's in the shower," I replied, forcing a smile. "She bought some stuff for dinner. Go help set the table." Sophie skipped to the kitchen, her carefree energy making me laugh despite myself. But those provocative images of Avery wouldn't leave my mind. When Sophie came home, Avery finally closed the bathroom door. She joined us after her shower, calling out, "Dad, come eat." Her smile carried a hidden meaning as our eyes met, and I felt my face flush with embarrassment. We sat down to eat, chatting and laughing. Sophie was her usual bubbly self, sharing stories about school and her friends. I tried to keep up, staying in tune with her generation, and we had a good time. Sophie turned to Avery. "Hey, sis, let's go shopping this weekend. There's a new store opening, and I heard they've got some great stuff." Avery nodded. "Sure, that sounds fun. We'll go together." I smiled but stayed quiet. Sophie teased me. "What about you, Dad? You want us to get you something?" I laughed. What would an old guy like me need? Unless you're buying me a new flower pot, I don't need any trendy stuff. Sophie grinned mischievously. "Why don't you find a nice lady to buy stuff for you, Dad? You're not that old." I waved her off. "At my age? No way. Just get something for yourself, okay?" Avery chimed in. "I'll get you something, Dad. Just let me know what you want." I nodded with a smile, serving more food to both girls before taking a sip of my beer. After dinner, I went out to meet some friends, guys a bit younger than me. As soon as I arrived, one of them, Tom, grinned. "Well, look at you, Michael. You're glowing today. What's up? New clothes?" I laughed. "Nothing special. I'm just in a good mood. The kids got me some new stuff to wear, so I figured I'd show off a bit. At my age, you've got to fake it till you make it." They chuckled, and another friend, Jake, said, "You're lucky to have grown kids. Mine are still little, nowhere near that stage. So, are we grabbing drinks tonight?" I shook my head. "I'm too tired for that. I'll hang out for a bit, chat, and then I've got some stuff to take care of." Tom teased. "What stuff? That big construction store of yours practically runs itself." I shrugged. "Come on, let's just have some fun," I said, joining them for drinks until late. When I got home, I stopped by Avery's room. She was lying on her bed, reading a magazine, her posture careless and revealing. The images from earlier flooded back, and I stood at the door for a moment, watching her, before heading to my room. I'd had a bit too much to drink, so I went straight to bed, exhausted. The next morning, I woke up early for my usual workout. As I passed the bathroom, I noticed the door was slightly ajar again, and Avery was inside, showering. I could only see her faint outline this time, but it was enough to stir me. I forced myself to look away, jogged around the nearby lake, and came home to shower. When I returned, Avery was still at home. Surprised, I asked, "Why aren't you at work today?" She smiled. "I took the day off. I was getting bored, so I figured I'd stay home." I nodded, saying nothing, and went to shower. The summer heat was unbearable, even though the season was winding down, and the cool water felt refreshing. As I showered, I glanced at the door and saw Avery standing there, watching me. I was startled. I'd forgotten to bring clean clothes in with me, something I'd done before when no one was home. But today, Avery was here. I quickly pulled on some shorts and stepped out, pretending nothing had happened. Avery acted oblivious, but as I went to my room to change, I turned around and caught her staring at me again. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I asked, my voice low. She smirked. "Well, you were watching me last night, weren't you? Don't pretend I didn't notice." I stammered, "That's because you left the door open." "I didn't mean to look." She laughed. "It's not okay to look even if the door's open, you know." "But I looked too, so we're even, right? No harm done." I tried to lighten the mood. "Well, looking doesn't wear anything out, does it?" She giggled, stepping closer, her face inches from mine. My heart raced. "I know you must feel lonely sometimes, Dad," she said softly. "You're only 50, still young. Why don't you find someone?" I shook my head. "I'm not lonely. I've got Sophie and Daniel, they're grown now. I can handle it. If I can't, I'll go out and have some fun. No need to remarry and complicate things." Avery sighed, saying nothing more. I placed a hand on her shoulder, trying to comfort her. Don't worry about me, okay? I know you must feel restless too, with Daniel away. If you need to talk, I'm here. Let's be like friends. Her eyes welled up with tears. I miss him so much, Dad, she whispered, her voice breaking. It gets worse every day. I tried to console her. It'll be okay. Daniel will be back soon. But as she cried, leaning into me, I felt the distance between us shrink too much. I knew this closeness was dangerous, but I couldn't push her away, not when she was so vulnerable. She clung to me, her tears soaking my shirt, and I gently wiped them from her flushed cheeks. Don't cry, I said. Everything will work out. But Avery took advantage of my kindness. Please don't blame me, Dad, she murmured, her voice trembling. I can't take it anymore. Daniel's been gone for years. It's like I'm a widow waiting for her soldier to return from war. I tried to pull back. Don't say that, Avery. Let me call Daniel for you. Before I could, she stood and walked to the balcony, gazing at my orchid garden. You've always loved these flowers, haven't you, Dad? She said, her tone shifting. They make you feel young, don't they? So peaceful. I nodded, grabbing a spray bottle to mist the plants. Yeah, there's something calming about their beauty. Avery watched me closely, her movements deliberate, almost provocative. I tried to focus, showing her more about caring for orchids, but the tension between us was palpable. Back at my desk, I explained some basics about orchid care. Avery stood, taking my hand, her voice low. I know you can't hold back anymore, Dad. I can't either. Let me give you what you need. I pulled away, shocked. We can't do this, Avery. What would Daniel think? She smirked. No one will know if we don't tell. It's just us. The alcohol from the night before clouded my judgment, and I gave in, the forbidden thrill overwhelming me. It felt wrong, but I couldn't stop. Afterward, I dressed quickly, guilt washing over me. You're as beautiful as your mother-in-law was back in the day, I muttered, trying to justify it. But her beauty was more innocent, not like today's modern women. Avery stayed in her room as I went downstairs, changed, and headed to my store. At the store, my nephew Ethan, who manages it for me, noticed I was late. Everything okay at home, Uncle Michael? He asked. Nothing's wrong, I replied. It's just a nice day, so I stayed home a bit longer. Any customers? Ethan nodded. A few contractors came by for more materials. I told them to pay a deposit and we'll deliver the rest. I smiled. Good job. I'm just stopping by. I'm meeting some friends for coffee to check out the real estate market. My friends noticed my mood. You look happy today, Michael, one said. Found a new lady? I laughed it off. No way. I'm just grateful for my life. Women are fleeting. I'm not looking for that. They nodded, and we spent the day drinking and talking. Avery called later, asking if I'd be home for dinner. I'm eating out with my friends, I told her. You and Sophie go ahead without me. I'll be back in the afternoon. The drinking continued late into the night, and my friends suggested hitting up a bar for some fun. Normally, I'd be up for it, but after what happened with Avery, I wasn't in the mood. You guys go ahead, I said. I'm heading home. They teased me but didn't push. When I got home, Sophie was watching a K-drama in the living room, and Avery was reading one of my books on orchids. Hey, Dad, Sophie said. Where were you? We waited for you to eat. I smiled. I was out with my friends, sorry, I couldn't skip it. You two ate with Avery, right? I'm not hungry. Sophie teased, you're probably looking for a new lady, huh? I laughed. No way, kiddo. Avery set the book down. If you're hungry, I can heat up some food for you, Dad. I shook my head. I'm fine, thanks. Keep reading. If you're interested, I can teach you more about fish keeping too. I'm thinking of starting that hobby. Avery smiled. That sounds great. I'd love to try, but I'm worried I'd mess up and the fish would die. I reassured her, don't worry, we'll start with easy ones like goldfish or guppies to learn the basics. She nodded, excited, and went back to her book. I changed into comfortable clothes, grabbed a chair, and sat on the balcony under my orchid trellis, letting the cool breeze lull me to sleep. I woke up in the late afternoon, feeling hungry, and grabbed some fruit from the fridge. I checked on the girls. Sophie was still napping, but Avery was in her room, browsing fish-keeping articles on her computer. "You're already researching fish, huh?" I said, walking in. "Want to go with me to buy a tank today? We can set it up together." She grinned. "That sounds fun. Should we wake Sophie?" I shook my head. "Nah, let her sleep. She hates being disturbed." Avery laughed, and we headed out. She wore a casual t-shirt and jeans, looking as youthful as Sophie. I drove us to a pet store in the city, showing her different fish and tanks. By evening, we'd bought 2 tanks and a bunch of fish. As we set them up at home, Avery asked, "Why are you using water from the storage tank instead of the tap?" I explained, "Tap water's just been treated. It's full of chlorine. The fish wouldn't survive. We need to use clean, dechlorinated water and keep it at the right temperature, around 28 to 30 degrees Celsius for these species." Sophie woke up and came downstairs, marveling at the tanks. "Wow, Dad, you bought so many. What are these red ones?" She pointed at 2 blood-red fish. "Those are blood parrotfish," I said. "You should learn to care for them like Avery. It'll calm your wild spirit. You're still such a kid." Sophie pouted. "I like being a kid. Being an adult is boring." I shook my head, amused, and finished setting up the tanks. "No need to cook tonight, girls," I said. "I'm treating everyone to seafood at a restaurant. I'll call Ethan to join us." Sophie cheered, and Avery smiled. We met Ethan at the restaurant, where he apologized for being late due to some last-minute contractor payments. Sophie teased him, "You're so slow with your math. We've been starving waiting for you." Ethan shot back, says the girl who's still a kid. "No guy's gonna want you acting like that." They bickered playfully, making me laugh, while Avery joined in the laughter. Dinner was lively, and afterward, I suggested catching a movie. Sophie was shocked. "Dad, you're seriously going to watch an action movie at your age? The kids will laugh at you." I chuckled. "Movies aren't just for kids, Sophie. This one's a good action flick. Everyone loves it, not just your age group." She pouted but came along. At the theater, she saw other families and finally dropped her preconceived notions. The movie was thrilling, with intense car chases, and Sophie even asked me to buy her a sports car like the one on screen. "I'll get you a car," I said, "but not that one. It'd cost me the house. Get your driver's license first, like Avery." Avery laughed. "I don't have one either, Dad. Don't tease her." I grinned. "Fine, I'll teach both of you to drive, and then I'll get you each a 2-door car. Deal?" They both cheered, and we headed home. I read a few short stories before falling asleep. The next morning, Avery had gone to work and Sophie was at school. I went to the store where Ethan asked if I was really buying Sophie a car. "Of course," I said. "If I don't buy it for my kids, who will I buy it for?" I checked the store's books. There was a lot of outstanding debt. "Why haven't they paid up?" I asked Ethan. "They promised to settle this morning," he replied. Sure enough, by noon, most of the debts were cleared, and I was impressed with Ethan's business skills. I gave him a small bonus. "Take this and treat yourself," I said. "Maybe find a girlfriend. Daniel's already married, you know." He laughed. "No rush, Uncle. I'm still enjoying the single life." That evening, I came home to the smell of delicious food. Sophie and Avery were cooking. "What's on the menu?" I asked. "Go shower, Dad," Sophie said. "We're almost done." I cleaned up and joined them at the table, where they'd made all my favorites: squid fritters, roasted chicken, and spring rolls. "Who cooked this?" I asked. Sophie beamed. "I did." "Try it, Dad." I tasted it, delicious. Avery poured me a glass of homemade liquor, winking at me. "This'll make you feel strong, Dad." I sipped it, feeling the warmth spread through me. Suddenly, Sophie said, "Dad, my class is going on a trip tomorrow for 2 days. Can I go?" I teased her, "We'll see." She pouted, but after dinner, I gave her some money. "Here, take this for your trip. Be careful, okay?" She hugged me, thrilled. "Thanks, Dad. I thought you wouldn't let me go." With Sophie leaving the next day, I thought about Avery. I'd blamed the alcohol for our previous encounter, but the liquor she'd given me tonight stirred those feelings again. I went to my room, trying to push the thoughts away, and eventually fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up late. Sophie had already left for her trip, and I assumed Avery was at work. I tended to my orchids on the balcony, but then I saw Avery there, looking at me. "I thought you were at work," I said. "I took another day off," she replied. "I was thinking we could check out some land for sale. It's a good deal." I nodded, but her earlier wink came to mind. "That liquor you gave me last night," I said. "It kept me up half the night." She laughed. "It's good for you, Dad. Let's go check out that land." Her suggestive gaze made my resolve waver. I stepped closer, testing her. "You know I can't hold back, right?" She smirked. "I know, Dad. I can see it in your eyes." I tried to stop myself. "Go back to your room, Avery. This isn't right." But I couldn't resist. The guilt consumed me. I knew I was sinking deeper into a sinful abyss, but Avery's boldness only made it worse. I went fishing that afternoon to clear my head, leaving the store to Ethan. When I returned, Avery was cooking again. "I made some nutritious dishes to help you recover, Dad," she said with a teasing glance. I brushed it off. "I'm fine, Avery. Let me cook, you go rest." She protested, but I insisted, needing space to think. Over dinner, Avery asked, "Do you ever think about being with someone else, Dad?" I was taken aback. "Why would you ask that?" She continued, "I have a friend, Lydia, whose husband can't satisfy her. I was thinking you could help her out." I raised an eyebrow. "What's Lydia like? Would she even be interested?" Avery grinned. "Don't worry, I'll arrange it. She's even prettier than me. The question is, are you up for it?" I hesitated. "It feels wrong, she's your friend." Avery shrugged. "She wants it, Dad. And I know you do too. Daniel's coming back soon, so we need to get back on track. I love my husband, and I don't want you to think I'm a bad daughter-in-law. I know he's probably been with other women abroad. It's normal for men. I've been careful not to ruin our family's reputation. I thought keeping it in the family was safer." Her words hit me hard. She'd planned this, seducing me out of her own desires and fears. "I did this because I care about you, Dad," she said. "I didn't want you getting hurt or sick out there. But I know I'm ambitious. I didn't want you to remarry and risk losing what you've built for Daniel and me." She smiled and went to her room, leaving me to process her confession. The next morning, Sophie was still asleep from her late night out. I gently woke her. "Time for school, Sophie." She groaned. "I'm skipping today, Dad." "I got back at 2 a.m. Let me sleep." I sighed, letting her rest, and went for a jog before breakfast. Later, I checked on Sophie. She was up, fixing her hair in the mirror. "Any boys interested in you yet?" I asked. She laughed. "Plenty, but I'm not interested. They're all losers. I'll find someone worthy of being your son-in-law, Dad." I chuckled. "You're a high-maintenance girl, huh?" She grinned. "Of course, I'm your daughter." That afternoon, I went drinking with Ethan, who suggested I find a new partner. "I don't need that," I said. "I've got money. If I need company, I'll find it. A wife just brings more trouble." We laughed, and after a massage to unwind, I went fishing again. When I got home that evening, I saw an unfamiliar car in the driveway. Inside, a young woman with curly shoulder-length hair and a charming smile greeted me. Avery introduced her. "Dad, this is Lydia, the friend I told you about." Lydia smiled. "Hi, Michael. I didn't expect you to look so young for your age." I laughed. "You're too kind. Do you work with Avery?" She nodded, and I couldn't help but notice her elegance, her long legs, her subtle makeup, her playful demeanor. I suggested we cook the fish I'd caught for dinner, and the girls got to work while I showered. Over dinner, Lydia complimented Sophie, saying she'd have no trouble finding a husband with her looks and skills. Sophie laughed it off, and I found myself drawn to Lydia's flushed cheeks, my thoughts wandering. After dinner, Lydia slipped me a note with her phone number as she left, whispering, "Call me, Michael. I'll be waiting." I smiled to myself, surprised at how quickly I'd caught her interest. The next day, I was busy with friends, attending a birthday celebration, but I couldn't stop thinking about Lydia. That evening, I texted her, asking if she wanted to grab coffee. She replied quickly, giving me her address. I picked her up, and she looked stunning in a white dress, her makeup light but captivating. We talked over coffee, and I subtly brought up her marriage. "Your husband must spoil you, huh?" I asked. She sighed. "Not really. We were good at first, but now we don't click, especially in the bedroom." I nodded. "That's normal. Some men don't prioritize that." She blushed, and I could tell she was hinting at something more. I suggested we go somewhere private, and she agreed. "My husband doesn't last long," she admitted. "I need more, but he's done in 10 minutes and falls asleep." I smirked. "Let's see if I can do better. Don't underestimate me. I might surprise you." We checked into a roadside motel, and though Lydia was nervous about being seen, I reassured her. That afternoon, under the rain, we shared a moment I'd never forget. Months later, Daniel returned home, and life went back to normal. Sophie started dating, and I grew close to her boyfriend's widowed mother, Clara. I realized Lydia's needs were too much for me at my age. I couldn't keep up. As I grew older, I lost interest in physical desires, craving companionship instead. I spent more time with Clara, enjoying her company, and focused on my family. My kids now have their own children, and I live a joyful, healthy life surrounded by my grandchildren, grateful for the peace I've found.